Well, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse. I pre-taped the show Monday, not to be repetitious, but I wound up in the fucking ER Monday morning at 9:30. Seems I have a problem that isn't resolved inside me here, and going to the regular doctor wasn't getting shit done because they're loath to order anything because the insurance company will turn it down. So when I called them up and told them what was going on, they told me to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room and they did all kinds of blood work and did a CAT scan on my abdomen, which is something I wanted done to see what the fuck was going on. And yeah, there's something fucking off there and it's infected and I'm on antibiotics. And it's sort of like, for those of you who don't know, a few years ago I lost 18 inches of colon because of diverticulitis or whatever the fuck that shit is. Then on top of that, I had an incisional hernia, and then last year my appendix burst. So there's been more people inside me than I've been inside of the people, but that's beside the point. So that's what's going on. It isn't fun. It seems like every other day there's some kind of fucking issue I got to deal with, but it is what it is. I just try to roll with it and things suck. So anyway, about a review of something that just came out from Film Masters. The restored Night of the Blood Beast and Attack of the Giant Leeches. Now, Night of the Blood Beast sounds a lot better than it is. Great title, catchy type of thing. This was taken off an arch rival 35mm print, which they claimed was damaged. So they explained that even though it looks really good, there's some jump cuts, there's some shit going on. Which I don't understand because I remember Fred Owen Ray put this out a lot of years ago on his Retro Media label, and I'm pretty sure it was a 35mm print that wasn't fucked up. But anyway, this thing, like I said, Night of the Blood Beast sounds like a great title, except that Corman did a couple things. First off, he screwed over the screenwriter, Michael Varno, and later on was forced to pay him what was owed. And he recycled the monster from Teenage Caveman, which, is kind of fucked up. But anyway, the whole premise is that basically, astronaut is up in space, something happens, comes down, he's dead, but brought something with him. And he has this weird fucking vagina-like thing on his arm. So something happens, they leave the body there, they go get another scientist to check it out. When they go there, it winds up that maybe this guy ain't dead. It's kind of weird. So they get him in there, and then there's this thing roaming around wherever they are, and somehow it has an electromagnetic field that shuts off everything, and basically it kills the head scientist and rips half his head off. So the reason this is to assimilate his intelligence and voice so he can communicate with the people because he's here on a friendly fucking mission. So ripping somebody's head off really isn't friendly, but he claims it is. Anyway, the astronaut, comes back and is sort of mystified about all this shit and asked to be put under a fluoroscope, and there's also another big vagina-like opening at the back of his neck. So they do this fluoroscope, and there's these alien embryos that are like floating around inside him. So I'm thinking, did this thing like neck fuck him or something like that? Is that what happened? So he's really protective of this thing, and it realizes, that it's coming down to make things better for us and things like that. So they arrange some kind of communication, but they also found out that this thing's afraid of fire. So they make some Molotov cocktails to bring along. So right off the bat, the astronaut is pissed off that they're going to kill his friend, and he goes up there, and the guy's going back and forth, and it finally dawns on him that he's just a fucking incubator for invaders. So he grabs a knife and kills himself, and then the blood beast is burned up in a wall of flames, screaming that there's more of us out there, and we will come down and save you. Okay, fine. Well, I remember something that Roger Corman had said that when Alien and Star Wars and I think Raiders of the Lost Ark and Jaws came out that they finally figured it out. Well, one thing the major companies did figure out is how to steal ideas from low-budget B-movies. Because the whole premise of Alien was the stowaway on the ship, which would have been taken from It, the Terror from Beyond Space. Now, the alien incubation things probably came from Night of the Blood Beast. So they all steal. And, not that Alien was better than this or anything like that, but this is sort of like the harbinger of things to come. Another thing, too, was that the music that was used in this was the same music that was used in a lot of other movies, including Attack of the Giant Leeches and Beast from Haunted Cave. Now, the co-feature on this DVD is a restored HD print of Attack of the Giant Leeches, which to me is the better film. Of course, I discovered this, I don't know, I think it might have been on the Big Show on in Wednesday afternoon when they ran horror around 3:30, 4 o'clock on the Big Show, and this was on there. And it really got to me, probably because I was hitting puberty, and here's Yvette Vickers on this thing, and then you have Raquel Welch in 1 million years BC, so I was sort of boiling over with teenage hormones. But anyway, Leeches is one of the few films, 50s monster films, where you saw the monster right off the bat, when this poacher comes across this giant leech and fills it full of lead, and is later taken out by the giant leeches. It's a whole swamp rat thing with, Bruno V. Soda is Dave, and Yvette Vickers is Liz, his slutty wife, and all these swamp rats hanging around in his store, and Cal, who's putting the make on Liz, and this and that and the other thing. So the big scene was that basically Dave chased the two lovers through the swamp, firing the shotgun over their head, and made them go into the swamp waters. Then finally relented and was going to let them out, but before he let them out, they were dragged under by the giant leeches. Now, two swamp rats go looking for the bodies because there's a $50 reward for each of them. And in the middle of their search, they realize that there's no fucking alligators where there should be a shitload of alligators. So one guy goes, "Take me back to dry land." But it's too late because the leeches knock over the boat, drag the guys in, and this is the real chilling, fucking, really fucked up scene for a 50s movie. That basically they drag these guys up there into this underground cavern where Liz and Cal are and have sucked their blood. And you see them like sucking the blood out of their faces and leaving these big marks. It's pretty weird and unsettling. Then, of course, there's this whole deal where one of these guys, a professor or a doctor there, figures the only way to figure something out is to throw dynamite in the lake, which the game board is against. But when he does, the bodies float to the top and they show these marks on them, except Liz isn't there. So they go in skin diving and they find one of Leeches and shoot it with a spear gun. Liz basically dies and rolls over and floats to the top, and they're like, what the fuck happened to her and shit. So they basically get rid of the last two leeches by dynamiting the fucking lake, and you think it's over. But again, it leaves it open for a sequel because you hear that grunting sound from a leech that just popped up its head from the bushes. Unfortunately, this film was public domain, as was, I think, Night of the Blood Beast, Beast from Haunted Cave. A bunch of them fell into public domain, and shit prints have bounced around for years. Wade Williams released this on his own and took the title sequence off and created his own, which shows what a piece of shit he is. The screenplay was written by noted character actor Leo Gordon, who basically had a sideline as a writer and was really good at it, and always said, that the reason he wasn't, given more accolades as a writer was because he didn't fit the mold. He was a big, tough-looking guy, and he said most screenwriters were, scrawny, bespectacled guys with the pocket protector and pens. But he did write a bunch of really cool screenplays, and he was always in collaboration with Roger Corman. I believe he wrote The Wasp Woman, too. But is it a good film? I love it. Some people shit all over it because of, the creatures and stuff like that, low budget. Some people said they were trash bags with suckers on them. In some scenes they look convincing, in other scenes they don't. But, this is one of my, favorite childhood memories because it is what it is, and I still like it. Watched it last night, watched the both of them. I really think both of them were directed by Bernard Kowalski, who became a real fixture in TV shows as a director, and actually, I believe, won an Emmy for a couple shows. So, out of the two films which he directed, I think Leeches is the better film, but that's my opinion. Some people really love Night of the Blood Beast, but, Leeches is my cup of tea. So, is it worth checking out? Yeah, you can get it probably for $17.95 in Edward R. Hamilton Bookseller, the Blu-ray. It's a double disc. It's not. They didn't cheap out on this one. Actually, you get a book, you know, a little, pretty well, you know, who wrote, was this Tim Lucas, I believe, or? Oh, Tom Weaver was involved in this, and basically, you know, it's not the two films on one disc, it's the two films on two discs with extras. With Blood Beast, they actually have the 8mm film version of it, and different trailers and a bio of, you know, whatever was going on with Bernard L. Kowalski. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.